Welcome back to Pages, Panels, and Pictures, your one-stop spot for all things comics, movies, and more. Episode 2 of Moon Knight, Summon the Suit, is out now, and this episode felt like a non-stop thrill ride. It gave us so much information to chew on for the next week, so without further ado, let's dig in.
This episode was fantastic. It's not saying much. The first episode is fantastic. This show, as a whole, seems like it's lining up to be a good time. This episode answered a few questions, but it also asked a few more. And throughout the episode, I was sitting there wondering, is Steven/Mark just imagining this all at this point? Like, I know they've done that a lot in the comics over the years in Moon Knight that they've questioned it and whatnot. But at the end of episode 2, we still don't have definitive answers. Yes, a lot of stuff happened that showed that maybe this is real. But, like, based on what happened at the end of last episode, and then how this episode started with him waking up from that like it was a dream sequence, what is real anymore? I love it, but we also know there are some hints that, like, this is happening. The bathroom at the museum was destroyed. They have video footage of Mark running from nothing, but we later see in the episode that you just can't see him, I guess. I don't know if that just has to do with the fact maybe Harrow's crazy as well. It's definitely it's a lot of questions, but I figure we can just run through the episode and we can talk about stuff as we go. Before we do that, a word from our sponsors.
Moon Knight is finally here, and with it comes our new Studio 5-star graphic tee. You can check out our new Moon Knight inspired design, Praise the Moon, which I'm wearing right now, as well as our previous designs, Vengeance and Strange World. These products are only available for a limited time though, so get yours while you can and use promo code PANELS at checkout to get 30% off of your order. Swing by their shop of many things on Etsy, link is in the description below, and then you can check them out on Instagram at Studio 5-star Official.
The episode starts with Steven talking to the security guard of the museum and whatnot, and we see the footage of him that we discussed a minute ago. Steven decides he's going to go investigate this storage locker that he found the key to in the cubby in the hole in his wall. And he goes around to a bunch of different places, eventually finding one. The clerk actually recognizes him and tells him where to go. Once he gets in there, he finds a duffel bag with a gun, a fake passport, money, and the golden scarab from the last episode, somewhat confirming that that actually happened and was not a dream sequence. From here, we get him having a conversation with Mark through their reflections like they've been doing. And Mark explains that he serves the moon god Khonshu. He's his avatar on Earth, and Mark's been tasked with protecting the vulnerable and dealing out justice. Naturally, Steven believes that this is utter nonsense and ends up fleeing the scene with the duffel bag.
Question. If that's Khonshu's avatar on Earth, does Khonshu have avatars on other planets? Are there other Moon Knights?
I think they more so mean on this dimension, like the earthly plane. Everyone has two fists. And if Moon Knight is the fist of Khonshu, there's room for someone else to be. And we find out that Moon Knight is the left hand of Khonshu, and there's a man who is the right hand of Khonshu. But yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so that is a thing, actually.
Sounds like a Roach Boy comic corner.
Hell yeah, I mean, the Moon Knight episode of Roach Boys Comic Corner will be airing probably today or tomorrow. I'll say that.
Awesome.
Stay tuned. But
I am the first.
once he cleans the storage locker and stuff, he runs back to his. He runs into Layla, the girl who was calling him last episode, the one on his phone, and they go back to his flat, and she's apparently Mark's ex-wife. Well, soon to be ex-wife. Sorry, not ex-wife yet. But I imagine she's replacing the role of the character Marlene from the comics. In the comics, he goes on this expedition to Egypt, and the archaeologist's daughter is who Marlene is, actually. The archaeologist that is killed by Raoul Bushman. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But so she ends up Moon Knight's love interest for a number of years. They end up divorced and stuff in the end, but Layla definitely is fitting that role so far. I definitely like the scene where they're interacting with each other because it's Steven interacting with her, not Mark. And I can't tell if they're just so in tune with each other that even the Steven personality resonates with her on like all their interest and stuff, how they were talking about the hieroglyphs and shit like that. Uh,
Yeah.
or if Steven, being a manifestation of Mark's subconscious, built this man around everything that he knows that Layla loves. Uh, Either way, really cool storytelling aspect from that scene. That was definitely one of my favorite parts of the episode, which is crazy because there was a lot of cool action-packed shit happening in the episode. But
Yeah.
it was really well done. Uh, but she's aware that he's Moon Knight, and she's already seemingly processed this information a while ago since she was all about summon the suit, summon the suit. Uh,
Yeah.
but the whole time, Steven's trying to desperately convince her that he's not Mark. She's confused, and then afterwards, they get a knock at the door. It's some officers of the law. They arrest Mark while Layla escapes out the window with the scarab. Arthur Harrow's followers show up and they take Steven to his base, and Harrow realizes that Mark's actually mentally unwell and decides to open up about his evil plan. Uh, Bad idea, honestly. Like the monologue's always the worst idea, and thinking that someone with split personalities, who mind you, he was having conversations with Khonshu and Mark this entire time. So like
Right.
they're present. Why would you unveil your evil plan? It's a villain trope, and I didn't hate it. It was just funny to me. Arthur Harrow is the previous avatar of Khonshu and was apparently banished. He was apparently the previous. I don't know if he was Moon Knight or if he was just an avatar, but we can only assume that he was the previous Moon Knight. Harrow is telling Steven that he can't trust this moon god. It kind of seems like Steven starts to believe him, and in the bottom of the ninth, Layla comes and saves them. Uh, Tells them to put on the suit. They make their escape. Mark is pretty much gonna die if he fucking falls off this building and doesn't summon the suit right then and there. So he does, and I think too much dismay of like hardcore Moon Knight fans in the comics. His suit is the Mr. Knight suit, and he's still Steven the bumbling gift shopist. And that's a far cry. I know they did that to differentiate from Batman because Mr. Knight's the big detective.
Yeah.
Very Batman-esque. And I understand doing that, but for the sake of comedy relief, come on, man. He's like a fucking cheeky little, come on, bruv. I'll rough you up then. And like can't fight for
Love it.
shit. And it's really, I loved it. I thought it was awesome. The suit looks fucking fantastic. Both iterations of the suit, the Mr. Knight costume and the Moon Knight costume, beautiful
Yeah.
in the show. Uh, Great in the comics, honestly, but I love the like Egyptian influence on them that the show gave him. Speaking on that, he gets a little roughed up as Mr. Knight, and then he fucking finally gives Mark control, and Mark transforms into the proper Moon Knight costume. This is our first real shot of it doing stuff. It looked beautiful. The CGI during his like hardcore parkour rooftop sequence was very Dark Knight Returns esque. Even like the hop from rooftop to rooftop that they used for the Disney Plus ad. Uh,
Yeah.
that it all looked really cool, but it was very Batman esque. It was the only time it felt Batman esque this entire series so far.
Very Frank Miller.
Yeah, exactly. Almost pose for pose some of the shots, but I loved it. I still think it's important to put in the undertones that this guy is Marvel's answer to Batman. It's really just well done so far. It doesn't feel like it did in the comics where he was just Batman. Even with him using the Moonerangs, pulling them off his chest emblem. Uh Cheesy as shit, but it's a necessary component to Moon Knight and I didn't mind it. But also, just 2 months earlier, it was established that Robert Pattinson Batman pulls his fucking batarangs off of his emblem. So that's an unlucky break for Marvel on that one. I love them both, man. I'm surprised how much I enjoyed both of these iterations. So,
The Batman will be available on HBO Max April 19th. So make sure you guys tune in for that.
and in celebration of that, I think we will be doing a retrospective on the 3 different Batman universes we've had previously. Maybe 4 if we're feeling froggy and want to get on some Adam West action.
Oh yeah.
I'm always
Oh
down
yeah.
for the Bat Tootsie. After this, we find out after Mark pummels the Jackal just like he did in the first episode ending. We find out that Harrow acquired the Scarab in the heat of battle. The homeless man picks it up and he kills him. This reveals his darker side, the fact that he's not really all about his holy religious mission. Uh, After that, Mark and Steven have their big heated discussion where Mark says that whoever's in their body now seems to have the most strength and control over the mind. Mark says he plans to disappear and let Steven have his body after he's finished repaying his debt to Khonshu, but he, as well as us, are worried that Khonshu's plans to make Layla the next Moon Knight will come to fruition if he does, in fact, give up the will of Khonshu.
Yeah.
Mark is indebted to Khonshu for saving his life. He was left on death's door at the foot of the statue of Khonshu. And in exchange for reviving him, Khonshu, mind you, there was no deal made here. He just kind of did it because Mark was placed there. Khonshu, in exchange for reviving Mark, makes him his acolyte, makes him the Fist of Khonshu, the Fist of Vengeance, the Fist of Justice. The relationship between Khonshu and Mark is very, very tense. You can tell that Mark is unwillingly indebted to this god. And I agree, he didn't really have a choice in the comics or probably in the show based on how he's talking to the god. Khonshu has no time for Mark's increasing mental health issues, and he keeps inferring that since he saved Mark's life, that body is now his. As a result of this conversation and Khonshu pretty much telling him, no, you're my bitch, Mark ends up reluctantly heading to Egypt to stop Arthur Harrow now that he has possession of the Scarab. That's where the episode ends, and I'm thinking here is where we're going to get the flashbacks to where what happened with Mark and how he became Moon Knight. The third episode is normally the origin story episode, so at least in Disney Plus fashion. So I'm thinking that's where we're going next episode, and I can't wait to see it. But yeah, let's ask the big question. You said it yourself, and I've been wondering it since episode 1, and after episode 2, I question it even more. Who is the main personality? Is it Mark Spector or is it Steven Grant? I think it's kind of up in the air right now still, but based on the conversation they have at the end of the episode, Mark implies that he's gone. He's going to leave once the job is done, once he's fulfilled his mission to Khonshu, which obviously isn't an option given the fact that he doesn't want to put that on to Layla, but that implies that Steven is the real personality, which goes back to like our first episode or the first episode when we talk about if his mom's even real or if it was like him talking to himself / Mark setting it up to help him disguise the fact that he was in his body. But no, it might be his mom at this point. It seems like Steven is the real personality. But that being said, at one point in the episode, when he talks about the postcards and stuff from his mom to Layla, she goes, "Oh, you guys are on speaking terms again?" So that raises another question in the topic. I don't know. We don't have 100% confirmation no matter what, but I personally am to believe that Steven Grant being the central focus of both the introduction to the character and this conversation, I do think Steven Grant in the series is the prime personality, which makes sense given the fact that Mark is a cold-blooded mercenary. We want the main personality to be the protagonist, the one that we feel for. We want Steven to grow into what Mark is as a confident, competent, agile, athletic, capable man, but with the good heart and the heroism and the all-around peacefulness of Steven Grant. Overall, what were your thoughts? Where do you think it's going from here? It's a lot different from the comics now, so I think it can honestly go anywhere. So I think speculation's open to not just comic fans, but anyone for the future of the series. Anything can happen here.
I enjoyed the episode a lot more than I enjoyed the first one. The first one I could barely make it through. I had to watch it like 3 different times, but by the third time I loved it. That being said, Episode 2 was balls to the wall. I loved it. It picked right up from the last action. There was no weird time jump. I think that this could end up being my favorite MCU Disney Plus show, easily. And I know you said that a couple of weeks ago, and I was against that. But yeah, man, it's proven week in and week out that it is exciting. Like, me and my girl were both like super duper excited watching it. Blood boiling at certain points. Actual, not a jump scare, but like jump, like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, type deal. Like, I was actually invested. And that's very hard for me to do with television nowadays, regardless if I'm having interest in it or not. However, I only have one complaint. I just wish it was longer. I wish we didn't have just 1 hour a week of Moon Knight, because it's kicking ass, and I love the MCU, and it's giving me a very proper dose. I love the character bridging arcs happening right now. I'm digging the fact that there actually is a purpose of Steven with the Mr. Knight character. This is all new to me. Like I said, when we first started talking about Moon Knight, I don't know anything. So this is all new to me, and I'm just happy to be along for the ride. The visual effects are amazing. The Jackal looks awesome. Everything's pretty much working out for me as a fan. So no real complaints.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. I think it's just all around a really well done series. It had, although, like you said, at points the first episode did feel slow. I feel like it was more hype, and that episode I was more invested in than some of the other Disney Plus series, and that's a surprise. I think overall the first episode and the second episode have been the best. Traditionally, in these Marvel Disney Plus shows, the second episode hits a little bit of a slump before the third episode picks it up with the heat, because the second episode is normally the build. But this episode built up to a lot, while delivering on the stepping stones to that place. And I love that opening or ending the episode with him getting up in Egypt. That is such an enticing, exciting moment for us to chew on for the next week. Like, what's going to happen in Egypt? Are we going to get flashbacks? Are we going to get crazy god battles like WandaVision had fucking sorceress battles? Like, they got to step up their game now that we've seen a lot of this crazy high octane stuff in these Disney Plus shows. So the future's endless, honestly. And we here at Pages, Panels, and Pictures are definitely going to be here for it.
You guys can hit my co-host up on all forms of social media at TildaN, and you can check me out on Instagram at RoachTheBoyWonder. There, you can get updates on this channel, you can see some pretty cool artwork, and you can hit me up for all your art commission needs.
Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified when we drop another episode, and we will be back next week with more Moon Knight reviews.
With that being said, I am your host, TildaN, and this is my co-host, Roach Boy Red.
And this has been Pages, Panels, and Pictures Moon Knight Reviews.